I'm joined by Peter Hakim, President Emeritus at the Inter-American Dialogue. Good to see you again, sir.
Thank you.
I don't know if I did that justice. Why is this such a big deal?
Well, frankly, it's not such a big deal.
You're not helping me.
You're getting together presidents from the European Union and Latin America. There are a few issues that they both consider important that they agree on, frankly. Latin America itself is divided into various groupings. Some of the countries have trade arrangements, some have free trade arrangements with Europe. Others are not interested in free trade. There are differences over Venezuela. This is an attempt by the Europeans to show that they have an interest in Latin America. And frankly, they don't have a big interest in Latin America, except a very economic interest. Yeah. And that's not managed by the governments. It's largely managed by the private sector.
Yeah, but let's be honest. I mean, you say it's not a big deal, but maybe part of the reason also is the fact that each area, Europe has its own problems they're still dealing with, and the Caribbean nations, okay, and South America have their own set of issues they've been dealing with, and there's really not much each side can do for each other, at least at this time. So in other words, they're focusing on problems at home first, aren't they?
Well, that's clearly every country focuses on problems first at home. But let me say that in many respects, Europe was a model for Latin American integration for some years. And, you know, with the collapse, the financial collapse globally, and Europe at the sort of epicenter of that, Europe has lost its shine. You know, at one time, Europe brought along countries like Spain and Portugal and Greece. And now, if you went to Latin America, Greece, which is
that's another
they feel
huge
being
can.
badly treated by Europe. Yeah. And frankly, there's just Spain is a different story. Spain has real interests in Latin America.
So these discussions help us with maybe the top one or two issues they're going to try to resolve.
Well, you know what I think why it's a big deal now is because Cuba finally is sort of entering. The Europeans are finding an agreement with Cuba. You know, they were sort of having their own little differences, and Cuba had the Europeans had adopted a rather hardline view similar to the United States. And now they're sort of making up again. They're finding a way to reconciliate. And obviously, Latin America has joined the...
Do you think with Cuba getting all this attention, does it take away the attention from the other countries, or do they all get more attention?
No, I think that it takes away from the other countries. In other words, you pick up the New York Times, you pick up any U.S. newspaper, there's going to be on any given day likelihood of a story or two about Cuba, and very little about other Latin American countries.
They are hoping to come out with something positive, as with all of these discussions, whether it's on free trade or the economy, or at least a statement of some sort. What do you hope they'll say?
Well, the most important thing that can happen between the EU and Latin America, frankly, is that the EU, which has been negotiating with the Mercosur countries, Brazil and 4 other countries, Argentina and Venezuela among them, to reach agreement. It's been 20 years. They haven't been able to because of the objections, largely of Argentina. But now Brazil is suggesting that maybe they can figure out some kind of process by which Brazil makes an agreement, Uruguay makes an agreement, but Argentina is delayed. It's postponed, deferred.
Yeah, they've made it difficult to get the deal done. But if a deal were to get done, who are the biggest beneficiaries?
Well, Brazil will be the biggest beneficiary. Brazil is engaged with Europe strongly. It has Brazil is as large a trading partner, a little bit larger than the United States, just smaller than China. So, Brazil is the country that is most interested. Any country that wants to do business in South America goes through Brazil. So Brazil is the big winner. But remember, all those other countries have borders with Brazil, and Brazil buys their products and sells to them.
It is complicated. It is not so simple. It is day one. Tomorrow is day two. We will, of course, have more on this. Peter, it's good to have your insights on
Thank you
this.
very much.
Thank you. Good to see you.